Have you ever woken up one morning and thought to yourself, I don't want to be around people today? Maybe it started as a quiet whisper in your mind, a subtle nudge to skip a phone call, to politely decline an invitation, to choose the stillness of your front porch over the noise of a crowded room. At first, you might have felt strange about it, maybe even a little selfish, wondering if something was wrong with you for wanting to pull away. But what if that's not the case at all? What if this need to retreat is actually your soul trying to protect you, to give you the space you've been craving after a lifetime of giving to others? You've spent decades pouring yourself into your family, your friends, your neighbors, your community, your obligations. Always showing up, always being there, always putting your own needs on the back burner. And somewhere along the way, amidst all that giving, your own desires, your own peace, got pushed aside. Now after 60, something inside you has shifted. Time feels heavier, more precious. Your energy feels more limited, more sacred. And those conversations that once brought you joy, the ones that used to fill you up, now sometimes leave you feeling drained, depleted, like you've given more than you had to offer. At Senior Wisdom, we believe this change isn't a problem to be fixed. It's a wake-up call, a gentle reminder from deep within that it's time to start living for you, to prioritize your own well-being in a way you might not have before. We're going to dive deep into why so many people over 60 are choosing to step back from certain relationships, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity, out of a newfound wisdom that comes with age. We'll talk about why time feels different now, how trust has evolved over the years, and why solitude isn't the same as loneliness. It's a sanctuary, a place to find peace. You'll learn what modern science says about emotional energy and brain health in older adults, and how too much social noise can quietly take a toll on your well-being. But don't worry, this isn't about cutting everyone out of your life or turning your back on love. It's about learning who truly deserves your time, your presence, your peace, and how to protect that peace without guilt. Because here's the good news. When you understand this shift, when you embrace it fully, your life can become fuller, more joyful, and simpler in the most beautiful way. We'll show you how to build connections that truly matter, how to preserve your energy for the things that light you up, and how to fall in love with your own quiet moments again. So if this message stirs something inside you, if it resonates even a little, you're in the right place. Welcome to Senior Wisdom, a space dedicated to helping you live stronger, healthier, and more peacefully every single day. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss a story that speaks to your heart. Let's get started. Somewhere along the journey of life, time stops feeling infinite. It's a subtle shift at first, something you might not even notice right away. You find yourself savoring your mornings a little more carefully, lingering over that first cup of coffee as the sunlight spills across your kitchen table. A quiet walk in the park, the sound of leaves crunching under your feet, suddenly means more than it ever did before. Conversations with loved ones, your children, your grandchildren, feel deeper, more fragile, more precious. And then it hits you. You can't afford to waste time anymore. When you were younger, time felt like an endless resource. You'd spend it freely, sitting through idle chit-chat at gatherings, showing up to every event on your calendar, tolerating relationships that drained you just to keep the peace. You thought saying yes to everything was a sign of kindness, of being a good friend, a good family member, a good neighbor. But as the years went by, a question started to form in your mind. Quiet at first, then louder, more insistent. Is this really how I want to spend the rest of my days? For many of us, the answer becomes clearer with age. We start to realize that time is a gift, one that grows more valuable with each passing year. And we want to spend it on the things that truly matter, the things that bring us peace, joy, and fulfillment. There's a biological reason behind this shift, something rooted in the way our bodies and minds change as we age. As we get older, our cognitive energy, what scientists call our mental bandwidth, naturally decreases. Research shows that older adults process emotional and social stimuli differently than younger people. We become more selective, not because we're grumpy or closed off, but because our brains are wired to prioritize peace and positivity. It's a natural part of the aging process, a protective mechanism for our emotional health. But there's an emotional layer to this change too. Life teaches us, through experience, that not all relationships are equal. Some lift us up, filling us with warmth and joy, while others leave us feeling depleted, like we've given more than we've received. And when time starts to feel more finite, you begin to measure every invitation, every phone call, every commitment with a simple question. Does this bring me peace? Does this fill me up? Or does it leave me empty? The solution isn't to isolate yourself completely, to shut the world out and retreat into a shell. It's about intention, about being deliberate with how you spend your time. It's about creating quiet rituals that center you, like sipping tea on your porch as the sun rises, or journaling your thoughts in the early morning light. It's about making space for the people who truly see you, who value your presence, who leave you feeling more whole, not more hollow. It's about saying no without guilt, knowing that you've earned the right to protect your peace after all these years. And perhaps most importantly, it's about slowing down, letting time become sacred again. Let the small things, the sound of birds chirping, the warmth of a cozy blanket, the sound of genuine laughter, remind you that your days don't need to be busy to be meaningful. Time isn't about how much you have left. It's about what you choose to do with it, and you deserve to fill it with moments that bring you joy. As we move through this stage of life, there's a hard truth we often come to face, one that can be difficult to accept at first. Not every relationship is meant to last forever, and that's okay. In our younger years, we held on tightly to everyone, friends, relatives, neighbors, believing that preserving every connection was a measure of loyalty, of kindness, of being a good person. We showed up to birthday parties we didn't want to attend, made phone calls out of guilt, listened even when we had no energy left to give, offering more than silence when silence was all we had. But as the years pass, something shifts inside us. You start to realize that true connection shouldn't feel like a burden, like a weight you're carrying just to keep the peace. This isn't about becoming cold or cutting everyone out of your life. It's about recognizing when a relationship no longer fits who you are today, who you've become after all these years. Because the truth is, you've changed. Your priorities have shifted, your energy has evolved, your boundaries have grown stronger, and they deserve to be respected. There's science behind this emotional discernment, this clarity that comes with age. Studies show that as we get older, we naturally narrow our social circles, a phenomenon called socio-emotional selectivity. Our brains start to prioritize emotionally fulfilling relationships over sheer quantity. We stop seeking approval and start seeking authenticity, depth, meaning. In practice, this means investing in relationships that are reciprocal, where both sides give and receive support, where you feel seen and valued for who you are. It means letting go of relationships that only take, never give, that leave you feeling drained rather than nurtured. It means choosing depth over drama, kindness over history, connection over obligation. You might feel a twinge of guilt when you stop calling someone you've known for years, or a pang of sadness when a once close friend drifts away. That's normal, but it doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're growing, evolving, becoming more attuned to what you need and what you deserve. Growing up means knowing when to hold on and when to let go, when to fight for a relationship and when to release it with grace. Today, your circle might be smaller than it once was, but it's richer, more meaningful. The people who are still in your life see you for who you are now, not who you were 30 years ago. And the conversations you have feel less forced, more nourishing, more real. So if you feel the urge to step back from certain connections, to retreat from the noise, listen to that instinct. It's not selfish, it's wise. Because the older we get, the more we realize that life is too short for one-sided love, for relationships that leave us feeling empty rather than full. You've given so much over the years, you deserve to surround yourself with people who give back, who lift you up, who make your days brighter. There's another layer to this shift, one that's a little more complex, a little more nuanced. It's about trust, a simple word that carries a weight only experience can bring. When we were younger, trust came easily. We opened our hearts, our homes, our calendars, giving people the benefit of the doubt, believing in the best of them. Sometimes that faith was rewarded with deep friendships, with love that lasted a lifetime. But other times it left us with scars, wounds that taught us hard lessons. Maybe it was a friend who disappeared when you needed them most, leaving you to navigate a difficult time alone. Maybe it was a family member who only showed up when they wanted something, their presence conditional on what you could give. Or maybe it was a colleague you worked with for years, someone you trusted only to realize their loyalty was nothing more than convenience, a facade that crumbled when it was no longer useful to them. Those moments change us, not in a bitter way but in a wiser one, a more discerning one. After 60, trust becomes more selective, more sacred, something we don't hand out as freely as we once did, like spare change to anyone who asks. And that's not cynicism, it's self-respect, a hard-earned understanding of what we deserve after all we've been through. There's neuroscience behind this change, a reason why trust feels different now. Studies show that older adults experience betrayal more deeply than younger people, both emotionally and biologically. Our stress hormones spike for longer, and our emotional recovery takes more time, leaving a lasting impact. That's why, as we age, we guard our peace like a fortress, protecting it from those who might disrupt it. But here's the most important part. Trust isn't just about others, it's about trusting yourself, your own instincts, that quiet voice inside that tells you something isn't right. We stop dismissing red flags as paranoia. We recognize that walking away isn't weakness, it's protection, a way to honor the peace we've worked so hard to find. So what's the path forward? It's about setting boundaries, not walls, about letting people earn their place in your life, taking your time to see who they really are. There's no need to rush, to open your heart to someone who hasn't proven they're worthy of it. Trust your gut. You've been through enough to know what peace feels like and what it doesn't. And when someone does show up with consistency, with kindness, with respect, you'll know, not because they said the right words, but because their actions whisper, you're safe here. In this chapter of life, trust isn't lost. It's refined, honed by experience. And in that refinement lies your strength, your ability to protect what matters most. There's another reason we start to pull back, one that's tied to the world around us. Have you ever looked around and thought, when did life get so noisy? The world we live in today moves at a breakneck pace, faster than ever before. People are always rushing, always distracted, their phones buzzing with endless notifications, screens pulling us in, only to leave us feeling oddly empty. It wasn't always like this. There was a time when neighbors knew each other by name, not just by username, when families sat around the dinner table without a phone in sight, when a simple cup of tea with a friend meant more than 1,000 likes on social media. At this stage of life, many of us find ourselves quietly yearning for something we can't quite name, a longing not for the past itself, but for the peace it held. That's why, more than ever, we're choosing simplicity, craving a quieter, slower way of living that lets us breathe, that lets us feel whole again. Modern life offers convenience, no doubt about it. We can video call our grandkids across the country, order groceries with a tap, get news in seconds, but with that speed comes something else. Disconnection. Conversations feel shorter, more rushed. Time with loved ones feels scheduled, slotted between other obligations. Moments pass too quickly to savor, leaving us longing for something deeper, something real. Science backs up this longing, showing us why the noise of modern life can be so hard on us. Studies have found that excessive digital stimulation increases stress hormones in older adults, leading to higher blood pressure, poorer sleep, and even feelings of isolation. We weren't built for this kind of constant noise, this relentless pace that pulls us in 1,000 directions at once. So what can we do? We can start by turning down the volume, both literally and figuratively. Choose silence over scrolling, quiet over chaos. Bring back rituals that ground you. Writing a handwritten note, taking a slow walk through your neighborhood, sharing a meal with someone you love without the glow of a screen between you. Create space for connections that feel authentic, unfiltered by technology, unhurried by the rush of the world. Simplicity doesn't mean rejecting the world entirely. It means choosing which parts of the world you let in, being intentional about what you allow to take up space in your life. You have the wisdom now to say, I don't need more. I just need what matters. And maybe what matters is a quiet morning with the birds singing outside your window. A handwritten letter that warms your heart. A face-to-face conversation that fills you up in a way technology never could. Life isn't better because it's faster. It's better when you feel whole, when you feel present, when you feel at peace with the choices you're making. In that quiet, in that simplicity, there's a moment of stillness that arrives, often later in life, after the kids have grown up, after the house has grown quieter, after the phone stops ringing as often as it once did. In that stillness, a realization settles in. Being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely. For much of our lives, we were surrounded by people, family, coworkers, neighbors, noise. And in those busy years, we might have even feared being alone. afraid of the silence, afraid of what it might mean. After all, we were taught that loneliness is something to avoid, something to fill with activity, with people, with distractions. But now in this chapter of life, many of us are discovering something powerful, something transformative. Solitude isn't emptiness, it's freedom. There's a deep, almost sacred peace that comes with waking up and spending the morning on your own terms, sipping coffee while watching the sun stretch across your yard, sitting in your garden, listening to the birds, feeling the breeze on your skin. In these moments, there's no pressure to entertain, no need to explain yourself, no expectations to meet, just you and the quiet, just you and the space to breathe. Science supports this shift, showing us why solitude can be so healing. Studies have found that older adults who embrace periods of solitude have better emotional regulation, improved memory, and even better sleep quality. When given space, the brain heals, processing emotions and experiences without the constant input of social demands. The heart, when not overstressed, softens, becoming more open to joy. But solitude does something else too. It sharpens our sense of what truly matters, helping us see more clearly who we are, what brings us peace, and who truly nourishes us. When we're not filling every hour with social obligations, when we're not constantly surrounded by noise, we start to hear our own voice again, the one that's been there all along, whispering truths about what we need, what we value, what we dream of. Solitude becomes a filter, stripping away the clutter and leaving only what's real, what's essential. So how do you embrace it? You redefine time alone as a sacred space, a time for reflection, for prayer, for reading, or simply for breathing. You let go of guilt, knowing you don't need to explain why you need this space. It's your right, something you've earned after all these years. You use solitude to reconnect with yourself, with your memories, your values, the quiet dreams you've held in your heart. Because once you stop fearing solitude, once you lean into it, you start to realize it's been a source of strength all along. In the stillness, we find clarity. In the stillness, we find courage. And in the stillness, we find ourselves. This brings us to a realization that might sound harsh at first, but is really about something much deeper, much more empowering: peace. There was a time when many of us would do anything to be liked, to be seen as the reliable one, the kind one, the person others could always count on. We showed up when we were exhausted, said yes when we wanted to say no, smiled through conversations that left us feeling empty, hollowed out. Why? Because we were raised to be polite, to be dependable, to be the rock for everyone else, even when it meant giving more than we had to give. But what happens when you spend your life being everything to everyone, leaving nothing for yourself? For many older adults, the answer comes through experience, through the wisdom that only time can bring. You don't have to go to every gathering, to be at every event on the calendar. You don't have to fix everyone's problems, to carry their burdens when your own shoulders are tired. And you don't have to keep every person in your life just because of history, just because they've been there for years. There's a real emotional cost to maintaining relationships that drain you, that take more than they give. Studies show that chronic stress from social strain can raise blood pressure, weaken immunity, and even impact heart health, especially in older adults. The cost of pretending, of tiptoeing, of giving without receiving, is too high, too heavy to carry any longer. That's why we start saying no, setting boundaries that protect our peace. No to people who thrive on drama, who stir up conflict for no reason. No to those who only show up when they need something, who take without giving back. No to endless obligations that feel more like chores than joy, more like duty than connection. Instead, we choose quiet strength, surrounding ourselves with people who understand boundaries, who offer mutual care, who respect our time, who ask, "How are you, really?" and mean it, who listen as much as they speak. Avoiding certain people doesn't mean you've closed your heart, that you've shut the world out. It means you've woken up, that you've realized your time is precious, your energy is sacred, your peace is non-negotiable. So yes, you can decline that invitation. Let it go without guilt. You can stop calling the friend who never asks how you're doing, who never checks in on you. You can let some people fade from your life, not because you're cold, but because you're finally warm to yourself, because you're giving yourself the care and attention you've given to others for so long. This isn't withdrawal, it's self-respect, it's emotional wisdom, it's living with intention, And maybe, just maybe, it's the kind of love we owe ourselves the most. The kind of love that says, I've given enough. Now it's my turn to receive, to rest, to be at peace. You might wonder if you're the only one feeling this way. If you're alone in this shift toward quiet, toward simplicity, toward protecting your peace. Have you ever thought to yourself, am I the only one who feels like this? You step back from certain people, crave quieter days, stop feeling the need to explain yourself, and a part of you wonders, have I changed too much? Is something wrong with me? But here's the truth. You're not alone. In fact, you're part of something much bigger than you might realize. A shared experience that connects so many of us at this stage of life. When I talk to friends my age, when I listen to their stories, I hear the same theme told in different voices, with different details, but the same quiet truth at its core. I don't go out as much anymore. One friend says, her voice soft but sure. I stopped returning some calls. Another admits, a small smile on her face. I'd rather sit on my porch than go to a crowded dinner. A neighbor confesses, her eyes bright with relief. And each time the story ends with a sigh, a gentle smile, a sense of peace, because finally we feel like we're living on our own terms, in a way that feels true to who we are now. This isn't loneliness. It's clarity, a kind of wisdom that comes with age, with experience, with knowing what matters most. What we once thought was pulling away, what we feared might be isolation, is actually a new kind of growth, not the kind you can measure with achievements or applause, but the kind that whispers, I've learned what's important, and I'm finally listening. As we age, our values shift, our priorities realign. We start to understand that our time and energy are a currency, one we need to spend wisely, intentionally. We don't need a packed schedule to feel valuable, to feel like we're living a full life. We don't need to say yes to every invitation, just to be kind, just to prove we're still here. We don't need 50 friends when 5 true ones who really see us, who really care, are more than enough. There's even a name for this shift in psychology: selective optimization with compensation. It's a strategy many older adults use, focusing on what brings the most meaning, the most joy, and letting go of the rest, letting go of what no longer serves us. It's not about giving up. It's about getting smarter with our energy, about being intentional with how we live. So if you've found yourself stepping back, choosing simplicity, guarding your peace, take a moment to celebrate that. You're not fading, you're refining, honing what matters most. And the beautiful thing is, more and more people our age are doing the same, choosing quiet over noise, depth over surface, truth over obligation. We're not falling behind, we're stepping into ourselves, into a way of living that feels authentic, that feels right. And in this shared journey, we're learning a profound lesson. The life that once demanded everything from us is finally giving us permission to choose, to decide what we want, what we need, what brings us peace. They say life is a book, and turning 65 feels like the beginning of a brand new chapter, one that's different from the ones that came before. But this chapter isn't filled with deadlines or noise, with the pressure to prove yourself or chase what the world says you should want. This chapter is about living with intention, about finding joy in the things that truly matter. For so many of us, the years before were about building careers, raising kids, meeting expectations, always moving, always striving. We carried the weight of responsibility, wore it like a badge of honor, proud of all we'd accomplished, all we'd given. But now we breathe a little differently, a little more deeply. We notice the way the light spills through the window in the morning, casting soft shadows on the floor. We smile at the sound of our grandchildren's laughter, the kind that fills your heart in an instant. We feel peace in the warmth of a cup of tea, sip slowly, unhurried, savoring the moment, and something beautiful happens in this shift. We no longer need the world's permission to enjoy our own lives, to find joy in the quiet, in the simple, in the real. At 65 and beyond, we start to understand that joy doesn't live in the spectacular, in the big moments that make headlines. It lives in the simplicity, in the everyday moments that we might have overlooked in our busier years. A quiet walk through the park, the leaves crunching under your feet, the air crisp against your skin. A phone call with an old friend, the kind where you pick up right where you left off, laughing about memories you'd almost forgotten. A book that makes you think, that makes you feel, that reminds you of the power of a good story. A sunset that paints the sky in shades of orange and pink. A gentle reminder that you're still here, still becoming, still growing. This isn't about withdrawing from life, about hiding away from the world. It's about a gentle, purposeful rising, a way of living that honors who you are now, that honors the journey you've been on, and the journey still ahead. There's a term for this shift in psychology: authentic aging. It's when older adults stop performing for the outside world and start living in alignment with their inner values, with what truly matters to them. We stop chasing what we're supposed to do and start asking, what do I want for the time I have left? And the answer is often so simple: peace, meaningful connection, moments that feel real, moments that fill us up. So here's the truth. 65 isn't the end of your story. It's where your story goes deeper, where it becomes richer, more intentional. You're not slowing down in the way the world might think. You're letting go of what's unnecessary, shedding the weight of expectations, of noise, of obligations that no longer serve you, so you can finally savor what truly matters. You've earned the right to rest without guilt, to laugh without apology, to live without needing anyone's approval. This chapter is yours to write, yours to shape with clarity, with grace, with a deep appreciation for the road you've traveled. Because aging isn't about losing something. It's about gaining perspective, about seeing the world and yourself with new eyes. And that might just be the greatest gift life has to offer. We're at a point in life now where everything feels quieter, slower, more intentional, more deliberate. But in this quiet, we find something precious: clarity, peace, strength. You've spent decades loving, losing, growing, giving, carrying the weight of family, community, expectations. And now you have the right to carry something else yourself, with gentleness, with strength, with care. Yes, the world has changed. Yes, your body and energy might feel different than they once did. But don't mistake that for weakness, for decline. Because even now, especially now, you can heal, you can grow, you can live fully. You can protect your peace by stepping away from what no longer serves you, by choosing relationships that nourish you, by saying no to what drains you. You can rebuild your strength by honoring your time, your needs, your truth, by listening to that quiet voice inside that knows what you need. And you can nurture your health, not with big impossible leaps, but with the small things that matter every day, like a walk in the sunlight, a deep breath before a conversation, a meal that nourishes your body, a good night's sleep, a genuine laugh, a moment of stillness. Aging isn't about closing a door. It's about opening a deeper one, stepping into a space where what lies ahead isn't fear, but hope, possibility, peace. At Senior Wisdom, we're here to walk this journey with you, to remind you that your story is still unfolding, that it matters more than ever. No matter your age, no matter your past, you still have the right to choose peace, to protect your health, to live with purpose. You're not too old, you're just beginning, stepping into a chapter that's yours to define. Thank you truly for spending your precious time with us today. We know that your time isn't just minutes on a clock. It's experience, it's memories, it's wisdom earned through years of living, loving, learning. If this message brought you comfort, insight, or even just a moment of peace, we'd be honored if you'd hit that like button to let us know you were here, that this resonated with you. And if it reminded you of someone, a friend, a sibling, a neighbor, who might need to hear this too, consider sharing this video with them. You never know whose heart it might touch, whose day it might brighten. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll always have a place to come back to whenever you need guidance, encouragement, or a gentle reminder that you're not alone on this journey. Your presence here means more than you know, from all of us at Senior Wisdom. Thank you for being you, for choosing to keep growing, even now. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay well, take care of yourself, and never forget, the best chapters are still ahead.